BORTLE here, back from the LCS 11 event of the online format. We have here the champion himself, Ben K. What's up, man? How's it feel winning the new format with Dragon Links?
Honestly, pretty insane. I played a bunch of these LCSs and always lost on the bubble to some bullshit or like unluck. Um, so topping this one and then immediately going through to the finals and winning it was pretty insane. Didn't expect that for sure.
Oh man, so this is your first LCS top and first victory? That's insane. Overall, how were the rounds for you, man? Like, how'd you finish overall in Swiss?
I finished X1 in Swiss. I only lost to a friend of mine who was playing Dog Invoked, specifically tech to beat Dragonlink. So he basically he beat me pretty swiftly because he opened 3 hand trips game one. One of them was Nibiru, because I think like Nibiru right now is the only hand trip that can, well, completely shut down or like 90% shut down the deck. And then game two, he opened 4 hand trips and Pot of Prosperity for Dogma Engine. So that didn't go so well, but yeah, his deck did what it was supposed to do, beat Dragonlink, and the other rounds went pretty smoothly for me. I played against a lot of Dino players. I think I played 4 Dinos in Swiss, and people look at Dino as a Dragonlink counter kind of. So that was like supposedly a hard matchup, I guess. But I won all 4 of them, and then I had 2 more Dino matchups in Top Cut, and yep, one of them was finals, which I won both of those matchups. Might have seen them on stream. I don't know. Um, the new Dragonmate trap, well, not new, but like it's newly used in Dragonlink. Dragonmate Tiding helps a lot with the matchup because you're not actually just as forced by Mystic Mine as you were before. Mystic Mine's no longer like the total win condition.
Oh yes, Dragon Maid Titan came in clutch in the finals. I saw that. It was just crazy.
And then my other Swiss rounds were, as I said, I played 4 Dinos. I lost to one Dog Invoked. I won against Prankits. I won against a mirror match. And I think that's, I don't know, Shadal Invoked. I played one Shadal Invoked. Against Pack. I won that too.
Oh
And then
man.
in Top Cut I played top 16, I played Mirror Match, Dragonlink. Top 8 I played against Dino, top 4 was Zodiac Eldritch, and yeah, finals was Dino again.
Oh, who's the friend that beat you in Swiss, by the way?
It's Nightfall, Dimitar Petrov.
Oh
Uh,
wow, he's actually done an interview on the channel, by the way. So listeners, make sure to check that one out. And before we start the actual deck profile, would you like to do some shoutouts?
yeah, shoutouts to 100%, my main testing group, the my friend group as well. We're always like kind of testing for these tournaments. We're playing in everything relevant that's happening online. Uh, they're a bunch of insane players. Some of them also have IRL accomplishments, and I'm very grateful for all of them. That even during these COVID times, we're actually improving our like community and like testing circle, I guess. So yep, I'm very happy that I get to prepare for these tournaments with them. And then also shoutouts to Syndicate, and shoutouts to my locals in Aachen. And I guess shoutouts to Nash and Toast for judging the event and always being responsive and handling the chaos.
Yeah, sometimes it
Yep,
does get
that's it.
chaotic. And cool thing you mentioned about these hard times playing online is definitely the safest way to go out with Yu-Gi-Oh. So shout out to those Runa warriors that are actually going to locals and playing. But Dueling Book's pretty nice, and Luxury hosting these tournaments are pretty nice as well. So yeah, without further ado, please take it away, man.
Yeah, so for my Dragonlink deck list, I think most of the main deck was pretty like engine-wise, it was pretty standard. Lately, Dragonmaid Chamber and Tiding were new additions to the deck, I guess, but that's everybody been playing. That was also around like last format, I guess, already. So I played the more or less standard rocket ratio of 3 Tracer, 3 Quick Launch, your main way to get to your Savage. Searchable via Apps Router if you send it off Ravine. That's why I played one Apps Router, obviously. Then one Recharger, because you need a level 4 non-tuner rocket to summon off Tracer to make Savage. Also, Recharge is a really good recovery play, turn 3 and onwards. Because if you go for Striker Dragon, pop itself, add back the Recharger, Recharger can then immediately trigger and reborn any Dark Monster in your grave. So you have really good recovery plays, especially if you have a tidying with a Dragmite setup. So I decided to run 2 Chamber because it's a good starter and you want 1 Chamber in rotation for the grind, and 3 tidying because trap access is kind of crucial because it gives you it loops itself infinitely. So for those that don't know, tidying bounces a drag monster on your side and a card on the opponent's side or graveyard to the hand, and then when the turn passes back to you, you can banish it in the grave to special summon back the chamber from the hand or graveyard, and then search another tidying. So basically, every turn you're going to have 1 trap card in rotation to interrupt your opponent, even if you're not immediately killing them. Then I played for one of the Chaos Dragons. They're insane extenders. Caleb Serpent can be a little dead sometimes because you're not running many lights. But they're neat targets for Chaos Space and Seyfert. Speaking of which, I'm running 3 Seyfert. This is probably kind of different from other lists. They've been cutting it down, but I think Seyfert is really good this format because Seyfert and Levy are your main win condition against back row decks, since the engine inherently struggles against back row, so you have to rely on looping Levianeer over and over. And Seyfert's really good for that. So I decided to run 3 because it's a 1-card starter. It gives you recovery plays. It can search anything in your deck. It's really good. Together with the 2 chamber, that makes 5 normal summons, which in my opinion is ideal for going first deck. Then we have more one-offs in Noctovision. It's just a good level 7 extender, draws you a card. Searchable if you discard Phantasme, if you draw it going first, or Apps Router with Seyfert. BORTLE obviously needed in your combo. Search Levianeer, very good recovery play. If something gets popped on your side, it reborns or specials from hand and searches, puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. Darkness Metal is an interesting card. People have been either running the Black Metal Dragon, the small one, to make another 1-card starter for their deck, or they've been cutting it entirely. Cutting it entirely makes sense because you're not losing to Lancia on that 1-card starter. And it's kind of a weird 1-card starter because Seyfert gives you recovery, and Chamber is a normal summon that just gives you the trap immediately. But I decided to run Darkness Metal without the Black Metal Dragon, just because it's a very good resource. Sometimes you just want to get the resource into rotation, send it off Ravine to reborn it with Recharger, or summon it off Heretic Seal to immediately put pressure on your opponent, and recover great boards with just using your grave resources. So basically, you can reborn the Chamber Dragon made with Tidying, search another trap, then loop the Recharger for Darkness Metal in grave. Darkness Metal puts another body on board, and then, for example, you can go into Needle Fiber, put another body on board, and then you already have 3 bodies on board, like Link 3 worth of bodies, I guess, without having used anything in your hand, and you search a trap as well. For spells, I think those are pretty standard, except like maybe the talents. Like Guard Dragon, Chaos Space, and Quick Launch, insane extenders, both field spells, you need to run them. There's no way around. Ravine searches Tracer if you don't have it, or can give you resources like Seyfert or Levy, or even Broacher sometimes. And then for my tech spots, like I guess hand trap spots, kind of, but I didn't really use them as hand traps. I have 3 Phantasma, 3 Nibiru, 3 Talons. So first off, Talons I think was a solid choice for every matchup. It can work as a board break card against Dino, which I actually used a lot because I played a lot of Dino opponents. Even if you draw turn 1, they don't hand trap you, you just keep it for turn 3. Because if you put up just Savage, Seal, and Trap, you're most likely not dying. It can happen, especially if they open like everything like Trinity, OV Lost World Misc. But if you get to turn 3, you're most likely winning the match, or the game, because you have Levineer in hand. You can talent them after they used any interaction, and they're basically they have basically no board left. Also, you're hand looping your opponent turn 1 if they hand trap you with like a soft hand trap, or even if they hand trap you with a hard hand trap like Nibiru. They get punished. You loop their hand. You still end on Heretic Seal or still end on Savage because you have recovery plays. And especially if you have a trap on top, you're probably stopping their turn with perfect knowledge of their hand. Then Phantasme, I think, was a really great call for the mirror. It's also not dead in other matchups. Puts a lot of pressure against Dino. It threatens Dolka immediately. And they have to go into a Link monster to use the double evolution pill. Mostly in case they go first, that is, of course, because going first, that card is rather dead in your hand. You can get rid of it with stuff like Seyfert, Chaos Base, Ravine, Brotor, so you're never like fully breaking on it. But against stuff like Prankets or any mid-range deck, it works, obviously. In the mirror, it's insane. Pressure Seal can negate tidying if they target a monster on your side of the field. And you can draw into Nibiru, which is, in my opinion, the only hand trip that really stops Dragonlink right now. Other hand trips can trade 1-for-1, but if you're unlucky, they're just wasted. If you ash them, if you like sometimes even gamma them, they can just go, okay, next extender, Seal Savage, probably trap, same board. They don't really care at all. So I think it's most important to play the cards that definitely trade favorably for you. And the boards are quite breakable. If you open well and have stuff like Nibiru or Phantasme or even Talons, you can probably break their board without having to drop a hand trip. Yeah, so that's for my main deck.
Oh, I wanted to ask a question real quick over like
Sure.
the count itself. You're so close to that 40. Did you need to like just play the 41, or was there something you could have cut, or is 41 the new game?
I was playing 2 Seyfert before, but I realized that I want the third for the grind game. You could cut stuff like the 1 Nocto, I guess, or like a hand trip, but cutting a hand trip is very weird. Cutting Nocto is weird because like it kills the play where you go Seyfert, discard Absolutor or discard Phantasme to search the Nocto as an extender. You would have to like discard Phantasme to search Absolutor or vice versa, which is kind of weird because they don't really advance your plays turn 1 unless you have other extenders. Like people are running 2 tidying, but it's an infinite loop. It helps you win like Zodiac matchups immediately. It helps you a lot against Dino. It's just a really good card and it replaces itself every turn. So I figured running 3 tidying is probably the correct way to go. Just win grind games, because even mirrors can end in grind games right now. The deck isn't as blowout as it seems. So yep, that's why I decided to run 41. Like people can cut 1 rocket synchron, I guess, like sometimes, but even that is really weird because you want a second tracer target for turn 3, and you want to be able to summon a rocket synchron of a Falcon Fibrex every time. So I just decided to go with this and worked out. So
Oh, it most definitely did. You won the event. So this extra deck, I can't argue that it's standard because oh man, you have some pretty sick like fusion monsters in it. And, it's probably one of the first times I've seen this BORTLE Furious Dragon before, or I guess in this case a BORTLE Furious Dragon. Nice. So yeah, please run down your extra deck, man.
sure, like let's just quickly go over the standard cards. 3 Striker Dragon are just needed. I think there's no argument to running 2 anymore because it's your grind game and you're grinding definitely. You definitely want to like have a turn 3 and maybe even a turn 5 play. Quad Boral Dragon is needed to make Savage sometimes. It's also quite nice to put a link 2 in the grave if you go immediately for Heretic Seal and combo under Heretic Seal. Guard Dragons are standard, just one-offs of both. Romulus is standard, searches Ravine, enables you combo if you don't have a good hand, or if you just want more resources. Hulk Fibrex gives you an extra body. It's really good for climbing into Boral Sword. Or if you have to do it turn 1, you can also go for Halka turn 1, since I'm running Saryuja. I'll get to that in a bit. I'm running 2 Heretic Seal, because it's a really easy interruption to make, and it gives you follow-up. So let's say turn 3, you can't kill your opponent, you just plank through his board a bit, you summon Levian, you do whatever. Just passing an Heretic Seal and tidying is mostly fine, because the follow-up plays are going to get weaker every turn, to the point where you can kill them because all your resources are in the grave. All it needs is just one level 4 drag monster, and you recharge it, summon back Darkness Metal, summon back Brotor, search another extender, and you get so many resources just from your grave. Borrow Sword is the dex card to kill. Savage is the interruption I decided to run. It's the most generic. Saryuja was there because I wanted a way, first off, to link of Hulk Fabrics turn 1, so I can abuse it with weaker hands or hands that I wanted to play more risky, to get more value out of them. Also, Saryuja kind of helps the playstyle of this, because I decided to run the 2 fusions for Super Poly. I cut Chaos Ruler and Hot Red, so I don't have the ability to make a very strong board and set up 2 negates and 2 bounces. That means my deck focuses more on hindering my opponent to kill me, rather than winning the game turn 1. When I'm comboing turn 1, I'm mainly focusing on giving myself access to resources to play turn 3, and then not dying turn 2 when my opponent is playing, and putting myself in a position where I can play through whatever he's putting up after he broke my board, because that's part of the plan. My opponent is actually supposed to break my board. Well, not supposed, but like I'm expecting him to break my board. So Saryuja drawing into the perfect game turn 3 hand, or even drawing into something like Triple Tactic Talents or a trap if you don't have it, is really strong. Saryuja is not really usable like if you go second, because it never enables you or something. But that wasn't really the point here. People sometimes run Appaloosa, which is, I think, cool going second. Going first, it needs a lot of resources, and as I said, I didn't want to spend all my resources into completely shutting out my opponent, but rather let him come back a bit and then kill him turn 3. Nice niche thing is that Borload Savage gets 4 counters for Saryuja if you go through it. So, I don't know, never really does come up, because either they out the Savage at some point or they don't, but I guess it just makes it really big. And then the 2 fusion monsters, yeah. I guess that was the unique thing about my deck list. So I was trying to look for what blowout cards really hurt the mirror, because the mirror doesn't, like, D-Link doesn't really lose to hand traps as hard, because depending on your extenders, you can still play through them. But you're always putting up a specific board that's somewhat breakable with good hands. Dark Ruler No More is obviously a very obvious one, but it only takes away all their monster interaction. They still have their trap interaction. So what if there was a way to take away all their interaction with 1 card? That's exactly what Super Poly does. So Super Poly, let's say they end on Seal, Savage, and a trap, the minimum end board that they're probably, like, the standard end board that they're ending on. Let's say there's no other monster you can Super Poly. You normal summon any Dark Dragon monster. You Super Poly the Savage. Go battle phase with the Furious Dragon. Force the Seal by attacking it. They activate Heretic Seal. You chain Furious, target itself, and their trap card, and their whole board is outed. And Borrowed Furious is also really cool, because it's also an extender if it's in the grave. So you can banish it to reborn a Dark Link monster that can't use its effect that turn. Which makes it really neat, so you can actually combo off even if you need to use your normal summon to break their board. And there's a lot of times where you don't actually have to use your normal summon up for that, because you're gonna have a Phantasme, they're gonna leave like a random body on board, they're gonna end on 2 negates, in which case Super Poly really shuts them down. So yeah, I think Super Poly was a really good pick for the mirror. I only played 2 mirrors, but it won me both. Also going first, Saryuja can help you draw into it, so that you're never losing to blowout cards, because Dragonlink has problems forcing back row. Apart from Levianir, you have no card in your entire deck or extra deck that forces a back row. Especially Super Poly, because you like, even if they go Borrow Savage Dragon, you don't care because Super Poly can't be responded to. You can let them extend however they want to, as long as they don't get Levianir. So yeah, and then Dragastapalia was my card of choice for the Invoke matchup because Draglink kind of struggles against Winda. So Super Poly here can take away the Mechaba and the Winda, which I did in my Swiss match against Pack, and just completely blow them out. Take away all their interaction, they probably can't play anymore. It's a quick play, so if they go for Schism or something, you can, on resolution, immediately take it away. You can even set it as like a trap card interaction or something. Dragastapalia is also summonable against Prankets. You can fuse away the Butler and a Dark Monster you control. It is summonable against Dragoon decks. You can take away Verte and Dragoon, or a Dark Monster you control and Dragoon. So it's really versatile, and it can blow out a lot of matchups since people especially don't expect it, and most of those decks have no way of playing around it. Especially Dragon Link, there's no way you're not putting 2 Dark Dragons on the board. Extra interruption too. The Dragastapalia is a negate, and the BORTLE Furious gives you a pop, so it's really strong.
Oh yes, that card was super popular when the Thunder Dragons were a thing. Sweet. And this side deck right here, it's kind of standard, but I guess if you would like to run through real quick on why you use certain cards.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's kind of standard. Like for back row removals, I decided to run the one-offs, Pancratops, Featherduster Reboot. Pretty strong cards. Pancratops is also summonable against every matchup basically right now, because we don't have decks that FTK you turn 1 anymore, which is good in my opinion. So Pancratops shines in these formats. Summon Pancratops, you get to interact with your opponent. You're forcing at least 2 of their interactions with it. Trades favorably. It's really good. 3 Cosmic Cyclones is my back row removal because I wanted cards that I could also side in going first against back row decks, since I have my main deck's mainly teched for the mirror with Phantasma Nibiru and Triple Tactics. I wanted cards to side in going first, and so it's Cosmic Cyclone or Twin Twister, and I think Cosmic Cyclone is better against stuff like Zulich that doesn't set a lot of back row, where you can take away the resource and actually grind with them a little bit sometimes. And it's also better against Shaddoll decks. Take away their Schism, that they can never retrieve it with their fusion effects. Then for combo, I ran the Super Poly, obviously, and Dark Ruler, which also works well against Dino. I think these are just the 2 best blowout cards. Dark Ruler doesn't take away the whole board, and you can never kill that turn, which is a little bit annoying, but there's nothing you can do about it. I think it's still way better than running hand trips. Ash Blossom was never sided against the mirror or combo decks. It's good against Dino and back row decks, and it's also good against Invoked, I guess. Ash Blossom is there. I was considering Lancia before, but Lancia doesn't really cover back row matchups, because dropping Lancia against an Eldritch deck is more neg 1 than it really helps you. And I still needed to side on 9 cards against back row, so I decided to run Ash Blossom because it covers both Dino and Eldritch, even though it's like such a generic card that most people would probably expect it to be in the main deck or not played at all.
Thank you again for being on the channel, and congrats on becoming the LCS number 11 champion.
Thank you very much.
Sweet. And listeners, if you're not a part of Bortle Nation, consider subbing for Bortle. Oh god, yes, it's that easy and it's free. Until next time, Bortle out.